Today is our first episode of Chat Show with sports icons. Sports is favorite of everyone. So I would like to discuss more with my co-host, Dr. M.S.Kanwar, Senior Consultant and Advisor, Pulmonary Critical Care and COVID team. Of course, we all know health is wealth, and Dr. Kanwar is role model for so many. So let me invite him on screen. Here we have Dr. Kanwar with us. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kanwar. How are you?
Thank you, Rashmi. It's been a pleasure to be on your show again. And it's also a pleasure to be introducing a new show with sports icons. And this is going to be an informal chat show where we would like to go through the life and struggles and the achievements of some of the top icons in India. And today we thought we will start with a superhero who's been ace shooter for India, and he achieved glories, and he is now running an academy which he is named as Guns Guns for Glory, and he is has had a fantastic career, and a lot of shooters, the new shooters and established shooters, look up to him for his advice, his counsel, and look up to the way he shoots when he's on the range. We all do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you learn so much by observing them, and when the matches are on, I myself made it a point to observe them, their positions. There are a lot of things we'll talk about that. So, welcome on show, Gagan Narang.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur. Thank you, Rashmi. Hope you're keeping safe and doing well.
Welcome to the show,
Well,
Gaganji. Can I have Gaganji on screen? Welcome to the show. It's honor to have you on our show. Thank you so much for taking your time to share your journey with our viewers.
Thank you, Rashmi, and thank you, Dr. Kaur. I hope you both are keeping safe.
Thanks for
yeah, so
asking.
far so
Everything is
good.
good. Of course.
And you stay, yeah, you stay safe too, Gagan.
Yeah.
Well, we all are
People
trying, and
know
these are tough times.
tough times. Yes, a lot of shooters look up to you, and we like to go, years back, Gagan, when you started as a kid. Was shooting your first option, or it just happened? I mean, you were in some other sports, so how did it all come about?
Well, it was a long time ago, Dr. Kaur, because I started shooting when I was 14 years old. But my passion for sport was, of course, as a young kid, and a young Indian kid was in cricket. So I started my sport with cricket, and then slowly went on to football, to badminton, to tennis, to table tennis, and then finally, when I tried shooting as a sport, I stuck on for a couple of years. And I think then my parents saw that he's stuck like a magnet to the sport. He's not changing his sport every year. Otherwise, one summer I was playing cricket, the other summer I was playing tennis. So they got fed up, and then when they saw me sticking to shooting as a sport, then they kind of thought, maybe we should just encourage him in this sport, and that's how I took it forward. And here I am. It's been I started in 1997, and we are in 2020. So yeah, 23 years has been a long time.
Wow.
I read somewhere that you wanted to be an Air Force pilot as a kid, and was that looking at Air Force pilots, or was it something to do with flying?
Well, my mom had a defense background. So my mom's father was a colonel, and my mom's brother was an air commodore. So, um, so yeah, I always was inclined towards aeroplanes. And my dad worked with Indian Airlines. So I always wanted to be a pilot and an Air Force pilot. But yeah, that I guess wasn't meant to be. But yeah, I am happy that I could serve the country in a different way with sport. So I would say that I've been lucky and God has been kind.
Yeah, you know, I read your quote somewhere that when uh, parents used to say, "पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बने बनोगे नवाब, खेलो," लेकिन अब बन गया है, खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे नवाब. So
Yeah. So I always believed in that thought process. Of course, I was not a very studious kind of a kid, you know. So when I would sit at home, I would be like, "Mama, 5 minutes के मैं आता हूँ," and you know, I would just go out, or I would say कि कोई आया है घंटी बजाओ. So I was a very distracted kid, and I would tell my mom कि आप पढ़ो और मैं सुनता हूँ. So I didn't have the patience to kind of read books. So I would tell my mom कि आप पढ़ दो किताब, syllabus पढ़ दो, and then I will listen to it and give my exam. So that is how I kind of passed my exams in my school.
Awesome.
And I would just look at the first chance I would get to kind of go out and play. So yeah, I mean, I was not a very studious kid. So I tell people that, you know, I came from a thought process that says that पढ़ोगे लिखोगे तो बनोगे खराब. I mean, of course, I don't say बनोगे खराब, but for me, it was खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे नवाब.
Of course.
So yeah, and that is also now the tagline of Khelo India, which says खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे लाजवाब. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a very interesting childhood and a very typical childhood. Uh, Studying in school, coming back from school, mom and dad putting me into tuitions, and I would always run away from tuitions and say I want to go play. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
But
yeah,
did
but
your parents have this
yeah.
vision कि आप इतने अच्छे shooter हैं or you can be one of them? Like, did they had that vision before when you were young?
Oh no, not at all. I mean, as a young kid, I think I was lucky that my parents were catering to my demands, or rather, just wanted to see a smile on my face. So if I told them I need a cricket bat, I want to play cricket, they would somehow find ways and means to get me that sporting equipment. And it was table tennis. But when it came to shooting, the sporting equipment was very expensive. And it took them a while to kind of figure out that I'm really serious into the sport. And after 3 to 4 years of me being into the sport and not changing the sport, they finally decided to buy me my rifle. And then there was no looking back.
So how was your experience when you went for Olympics and when you won? How was your feeling? Of course, you must have shared with so many, but of course, we have so many young generation. Like they want to know more about you all over USA and Canada. They want to hear your experience. So please share with us also.
So, Rashmi, I mean, Olympics is a different ball game altogether. And when you start as a kid, you never think about going to the Olympics. You never think about winning a medal. You just take to the sport because it gives you a kick, it gives you something new, it gives you happiness, and that is what is more important. And you know, after a while, when you think that yes, you start winning a medal, you start performing well, you go to your school with a medal, your principals appreciate you, your teachers appreciate
Yeah.
you, people in your colony appreciate you, then you feel you have a sense of achievement and you feel, oh, you know, I have done something really good. Maybe I should, you know, do it a little more, do it a little better. And that kind of gives you the motivation. So it's only later, a couple of years down the line, after you've taken to a particular liking to a particular sport, that you realize that, yes, maybe you should give it all you have, because the right kind of guidance, the right kind of support is very important. And when that happens, you know, that kind of motivates you to perform better. So my journey was no different. I won my first interstate championship, and then I went on to the Pavlankar championship, and then the national championship, and then 1 year I didn't even know I was qualified to shoot the selection trials of the Indian team. I didn't even know there was an Indian team, and people go and represent the country.
Oh.
So 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 we didn't have the right kind of guidance in the system. So 1 year I was selected, I was shooting the scores, but nobody told me that I could go and give the selection trials for the Indian team. So I appeared for the selection trials the next year, and then I got selected into the team. And my first competition was in 2002. So yeah, 97 I started, and 2002 was my first international competition. 2004 was my first Olympics. So, and Olympics is a different ball game altogether. I mean, it's the pinnacle of, it's the mother of all sport,
Yeah.
especially Olympic sports. So it's a great experience to be in the Olympic Games. The participation in itself gives you a big high, and winning a medal is at a totally different level. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. I tried really hard with the kind of systems we had. Things are much better now. It's much easier to get to that particular level. But when we started or I started, there were a lot of challenges and difficulties, and I'm glad we could achieve what we could in that era.
So, what is required to
Gagan,
become a
Amen.
good
Sorry.
shooter?
Sorry, ma'am, I couldn't hear you.
What is requirement? What is the requirement to become a good shooter?
Well, I think to become good at anything, not just shooting, you need passion and perseverance. And whether it's medical, engineering, or sport, or in general, anything that you do in life. So I think the mool mantra or the secret would be to be passionate about it and to persevere and to prevail. Because if you don't have passion, then a champion always hangs in there 1 second longer than when everyone else quits. So if you don't have passion, you would quit before everyone else would. And I think that's really the difference between participation and winning. So so these two things are very important to excel in any walk of life.
Rashmi, in fact, just like any other sport, it is a big, big struggle
Yeah.
to go up the ladder to a national level or international level. It is a huge struggle, and there are good days, there are bad days, and the life of any sportsman is all struggle. And when you fall and you fail, and it happens repeatedly again and again, um, only those who are determined to rise again, they go far enough. Otherwise, there are lots and lots. In fact, majority of people fall on by the wayside. It is how you pick yourself up, because Gagan will agree with me that sometimes you struggle with, and you're stuck at certain scores. You just cannot go beyond a point, and there are times when you just don't know what is wrong, and you think you're doing everything right. Still, it's not clicking because it's such a complex game where you have to look at score and scores of issues simultaneously at every one moment when you pull the trigger. So there is a whole lot of things. Gagan, do you agree with me?
Yeah, Dr. Saab, I think you yourself know, I mean, you started pretty late in the sport, but when you went to the range, you were totally lost. You didn't have the guidance, a little bit pick and choose from here. कि भाई somebody tell me something, and you would, like a jigsaw puzzle, try to connect all the pieces together by yourself without guidance. So imagine what we used to do. I would go to the range and I would sit behind elite shooters and watch them shoot and learn how and why. And if there was someone kind enough to ask me, why are you sitting here? I would go up to them and ask them as to why did you do this and why did you not do this, and learn from watching people. So it was a very interesting phase. And like I said, I mean, you just have to hang in there 1 second longer than when everyone else quits, and that makes all the difference.
uh, Gagan, people in general don't think they don't understand how complex shooting is. They feel that you just have to stand and just
Yeah.
aim and shoot, hold your breath and shoot. That's what they think. Or in prone shooting, you just lie down, aim and shoot. They don't realize that there is a whole lot of fine tuning, your body position, your leg position, your foot position. Rashmi, uh, Gagan knows even a few inches of movement of your foot. You're shooting here, here with the shoulder, with the eyes, with the cheek on the cheek piece. But even a movement of your foot by a few inches can make the difference.
Wow.
Now, people won't realize, people won't understand this.
Yeah, of course.
Tummy. your position on the tummy, is it exactly the same in every shot? Or, every time you come back after a little rest? Or is it a little tilted towards your left hip? Is your right knee in the same position, or it has gone up or little down? You know, a whole lot of things. Your elbow position, your left elbow, is it at the exactly same spot, Gagan? Or your hand stop position? I mean, is it just every time it is the same? But your right elbow, is it in, out by just sister a few millimeters, Rashmi? A few millimeters of right elbow being in or out, or a little forward or backward, can make the difference. It can spoil your score. So,
So,
Gagan,
yeah,
tell me something about that.
just
It
to
is such a
just
struggle,
to put
such a struggle.
just to put things in perspective, you would see Dr. Kanwar making actions, but these actions a lot many people won't relate to because these are all shooting positions. And just to give you and put things in perspective, we shoot 10 meters and 50 meters. Now, these are two disciplines that the rifle shooters shoot. And the 10-meter air rifle, which is the most successful event of India in the Olympics because it has won two Olympic medals, so one gold and one bronze, is an event which is shot at a distance of 10 meters away from you. And the target, the bullseye, is basically a dot put by a pen on a piece of paper. So if I
Oh,
just put one dot on a piece of paper and show it to you, that is the dot that you have to hit 10 meters away.
oh my
It
God.
is zero point 0.5 millimeters. It's zero point 0.5 millimeters, and that is the accuracy that you need. And imagine shooting something, a dot put by a pen at 10 meters with 150 beats per minute or even more. So your pulse is shaking and you're actually moving maybe 1 or 2 inches, but you have to shoot a dot which is 10 meters away and it's just a small point. In the 50 meters event, imagine shooting into a button.
Oh
Now
no.
the button is 50 meters away
It's such a tough
and
task.
that
Oh
is
my
what you
God.
have to shoot at. So yeah, to put things
Yeah.
in perspective, a 1 millimeter mistake here will amplify it at least 5 to 10 times at 50 meters. So if you move 1 millimeter here, your rifle will actually move more than 5 to 10 or even a couple of inches at 50 meters. So you have to be really, really in control. And it's not about shooting one bullseye. It's about shooting 60 shots or it's about shooting 120 shots in that center of the target and hitting the bullseye every time. So it's repetitive. So it's all about being calm. It's all about being in control of your nerves. It's about being control of your thoughts because thoughts induces reactions in your brain and your heart, and your pulse can go up and down, and you can get under pressure. And these changes are making you unstable in your aim.
Yeah.
So it's really technical and a little concentration here and there, a split second decision of firing late or firing ahead can make all the difference between winning and coming back empty handed.
But it is so
Yeah,
difficult.
Gagan,
Oh my God.
this mental strength is so important. This mental strength is so important, and it also controlling the pulse rate or shoot if the pulse is bothering you, shooting between the two beats. People at your level get trained in that also, because sometimes whether it is due to the position of the strain, the belt, where it may be close to an artery which is pulsating, or whatever be the reason, or you're at that time having a palpitation, it is kind of making your gun, with every beat, Rashmi, it sometimes it does like this. It dances. It dances like that, like this, like this, like this. And you have to shoot accurately, like Gagan said. It becomes sometimes so tough. So, this. How do you control your pulse thing? Sometimes do you have a complete control on your pulse, or you? I have been struggling with positions at times. And then I devised a position where I thought the pulse was least affecting my shooting. But at times I just couldn't control my pulse and I had to shoot between the two beats. It was so tough. But I know at your level, you can control that much better. How do you do that?
So that's a secret that I can't disclose on a public platform.
Gagan,
But
are you still into very active international shooting? Are you still running into Olympics or what?
yeah, it's a secret. You never know.
Okay, okay, okay.
but
I'll not.
but
But
having said that, jokes apart, it's a very technical game, and position really matters. A lot of biomechanics come into the picture. You have to figure out which position gives you the least amount of pulsation on the rifle, because the game and the sport is all about stability, and it's all about accuracy. So the lower your vibration of the body is, the lower your vibration of your pulse is transmitting into the rifle, the better stability you have, and easier for you to squeeze the trigger and get that bullseye.
Gagan, I really want to ask you one thing. Like the time I've seen you and the time I've seen you, the way you talk and you present yourself, you look like a very cool and calm person. But जैसे आप बता रहे कि इतनी बार practice करना पड़ता है and it's not easy to hit your goal the way you are telling like what a distance you have to make sure that you are hitting the right, your aim is going correctly. So how many times you have to practice? Don't you get irritated or how about your anger issues? I want to know about that. क्या आपको कभी गुस्सा भी आता है?
Well, that's a question I keep getting asked often, because people are like, "अरे इससे दूर रहो, गुस्सा आ गया तो ठाई ठाई कर देगा." So shooting as a sport is a very, I would say, on the contrary to what people think, is very safe, and there are strict rules about safety, and there are no compromises on safety in the sport. I mean, even if you turn the weapon, even if it is empty towards anyone else, you're actually disqualified for
Oh,
2 years.
okay.
So, so you need to be very disciplined. And if you're handling a weapon, you need to be extra cautious about checking twice and thrice that it's not loaded when you're storing it, or it's not loaded when you're carrying it, or the firing mechanism is dismantled before you put it into the box. So these are little safety tips that everyone follows, and it's really essential to follow these tips, because that's the first thing that you learn is gun safety and proper handling of a firearm. That's very, very important. But yes, as far as the anger issues are concerned, you do get a little upset and stressed when you're trying everything. I mean, it happens with everybody. But then we try and focus and go back to the drawing board to make things better. Now, it's not like we have anger issues and we can keep carrying the guns with us all the time. I mean, they're always kept in a controlled environment and a safe environment, at least in the sport part of it, in the shooting ranges. And we tend to kind of resolve our problems with our coaches, with our support staff. I remember a lot of times that me and Dr. Kaur had a discussion on, "Arey, this is not going properly. What can I do?" So you feel frustrated, but you're also trying to find a solution. So that's the beauty of sport. I mean, you're always wanting to improve and do things better, that you don't have anything negative to think about. You always want to think positive and do things better, and do things better than yesterday, and then today do things better than how you did it yesterday. So I think that is what keeps us going and keeps us in focus.
Absolutely. I can
Gagan,
see
tell me about.
Dr.
Sorry.
Kaur has so much
Yes,
interest
Rashmi.
in that.
Rashmi, go
When
ahead.
I see you, you should have been a sportsman too, I think so. अरे डॉक्टर
Well,
कंवर डॉक्टर नहीं
if
होते
I
तो
jumped
पक्का
into,
स्पोर्ट्स में होते हैं.
well, my father wanted me to be a doctor,
Okay.
so I went into that field, and well, it was too late. I started as a hobby, but as a hobbyist, if you are focused, you just develop more targets, and those targets keep going higher,
Absolutely.
and then you feel that I remember the first time when I was to play for nationals, I was hitting 600 plus. That is win points. and my name was, I did not qualify in the Maulanka. So I don't know what to do. Then I learned that there is a quota for where they can what do you call that? They nominate
Wild
you.
card.
Yeah, yeah,
Wild card.
and wild card. So I called Gagan. I said, Gagan, I'm hitting this thing, and I used to send my scores to Gagan, the scores and the graphs and those hits. I used to send him daily. It became a habit, and I would get his comments. And then I said, Gagan, I'm hitting 600 plus, but and the requirement for me is 575. But since I didn't qualify in that, so what to do about that? He said, don't worry, I'll sort it out. So he rang up the director of sports or somebody, So and he got me into the nationals. I failed at the national. I don't know what happened, whether it was the nerves or whatever. I didn't do well at all in the first time. It's a different story that next year I won the gold medal in the same championship, and subsequently 4 times running, just until 2018. But Gagan was the guy who actually helped me even choose the weapon.
Wow.
So, Gagan, you remember I used to ask you, Gagan, which stock I should take, which barrel I should buy, and he would suggest, Doc, go for Blake. Straight away. He wouldn't give me choices. He said, Doc, go for Blake barrel. I said, okay, fine, taken, granted. Then he would go for Grunig Almeiger stock. I would think in my mind, why not Bliker stock? And then, I would discuss with him. He said that you will see the advantages when you use it. Anyway, later on, when actually time came to buy a rifle, then by that time he said, well, Bliker stock is also good, so you can go for that also. So I went for that. Gagan, let me tell you a little story here. When I got that Bliker, which you had advised, that was my first weapon. And third day with that weapon, I shot 620.2. And there were more than a dozen shooters watching. And they said, Dot sahab, kamal kar diya, kya aap championship jeetne wale? I don't know whether am I shooting or is the gun shooting. So, I told everybody, I said, this is a rifle which Gagan has recommended. And I tell you, Gagan, that day, a lot of shooters decided to buy Bliker. But Gagan, that day, I think several years ago, I could not shoot that 620 ever again. I went up to 615 point something, 616.4, went up to that. And you remember when we were in Hanover, my score was 612.2. So Gagan ne mere se पूछा, Rashmi, he कहता after the match, Doc, what is your score? मैंने कहा Gagan 612.2. He said, really? Yes. He gave me a big hug, because he didn't expect that at my age I could shoot that much in an international tournament. So that was how he helped me. And in Hanover, he again helped me to buy get those customized ear plugs. He helped me choose the right ammunition for my weapon. Every barrel, Rashmi, has a grooving in a way that not every ammo would fire equally well in them. So even the best ammo may not fire as well in your particular barrel or weapon that it can do in another weapon. So you have to choose that. So he helped me. We spent at least an hour that day, more than an hour, 2 hours, I think,
Of course, getting
just
guidance
choosing
from the
those
best
things.
shooter in India makes a lot of difference, of course.
Yeah, and he was a big hearted too. He bought a Fitbit. So I said, Gagan, it's looking great. कहता है, oh really? इसने उतार के कहता Doc, it's yours. मैं कहा यार कमाल है तुमने कल खरीदा इसको अपने पास रखो. It looks so good on you. कहता no Doc, you take it. I'll take another one tomorrow. Anyway, next day we went into the same place where you had bought that, and he got another one. So that is how the stories are. Gagan, before that, we were at Pilsen in Czechoslovakia. It was so cold, Rashmi. It was so cold, freezing cold. And for me, that was the first international tournament, and my hands were freezing. And I, of course, did poorly in that, but it was a much better score I made in Hanover. Gagan, you even wanted. I think you even said once that I wish there was a film made on a shooter. I'll be very happy to see that, yeah, because shooting in India has taken off. Rashmi, in India, the shooting has become a powerhouse in sports.
Wow.
People don't realize that we are winning a lot of medals in the last couple of years. The medal tally has never been the way it has been now, ever in the history of Indian shooting. So,
So,
well,
Mr.
they
Gagan,
have
do
been.
you plan to act in that movie, or you want to be like an inspiration?
No, no, no. I have not really. I mean, if I act in the movie will become a flop. Yeah.
No, you're very handsome. What are you talking? You look very nice. I think
So
so. You should think
yeah,
about
but
that. And
coming,
I'll give this
coming back
suggestion to Janak
to
Bedi. He is planning a lot of movies. Why not?
Dr. Kanwar's competition in Hanover and Pilsen. So I came from a very mediocre background, and when my parents had to decide to buy a gun for me, it was a very important decision for us because I came back home once and I cried because the guy who used to lend me his weapon on the shooting range was not coming to the range, or I couldn't get access to the gun. And I came back home crying, saying that I'm shooting good scores, but I don't have a rifle, and I could do much better if I would get a weapon. And 15, 20 days later, my dad gave me my first weapon, and I was quite gung ho about it. And I was like, wow, I got my first gun, and now I'm going to excel in the sport. And 1 year later, I came into the Indian team. So, but after I came into the Indian team, I realized, and my parents opened up to me, and they said that we sold our house to buy a gun for you,
Oh,
and that was something that hit me really hard.
yeah.
And my parents didn't know how far I would go or whether I would go on to win an Olympic medal, but they sold the house that we had to build a house on, and and bought me a gun just to see a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So that kind of moved me a lot, and it gave me the motivation and the willpower to perform at the highest level. And I won a lot of medals. After that, I won the first Afro Asian Games in 2003. I got my weapon in 2001, and in 2002, I was in the Indian team. And 2003, I won my first international competition, major international competition. In 2006, I won 4 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games. I was world number one. I won the World Cup. I qualified for the Olympics in 2008. In 2008, I also shot the world record. And I always had this passion of giving back to the sport. So I got so much out of the sport. I got it in a very, very hard way. And if I would see some shooter struggling on the range, it would really pain me, and I would really go up to the shooter and said that if they wanted help, and I would kind of help them to make their positions better, or kind of help them if they needed help. So I always had this thing of giving back. When I was learning, if you have 10% knowledge and I have five, I would try and learn that 5% from you. If someone had 20% and I had 15, I would try and learn that 5%. And that's how I learned.
Yeah.
So, because of that, I always had this thing in me that if anyone would come up and ask me that, do you have extra ammunition, or can you lend me your gun? Can you lend me your jacket, or can you lend me your pellets? I was more than happy to do that. And all my weapons that I would upgrade, the older ones always went to shooters who performed and also won medals from those weapons, and then imported their own weapons. So I was happy that I could give back to the sport that I got so much out of. And in 2010, when I came back from the Commonwealth Games in New Delhi, after winning 4 gold medals, I decided that I would do it in a much structured way in opening a not-for-profit sport foundation. It's called the Gagan Narang Sports Promotion Foundation, which sets up a shooting academy called Gun for Glory. And it's a not-for-profit academy where we like to give back to the sport and introduce kids at grassroots level and expose them to excellence at grassroots level, so that when they become champions, nothing is new for them. So excellence right at the grassroots has been the motto. And I'm happy to share with you that the shooter from the academy is now the current world number one in
Wow.
10-meter air rifle. And 30% of the current the junior team's medals are won by the shooters of the academy. So it's been 9 years that we've been into this sport. The academy has also got the Rashtriya Khel Protsahan Puraskar by the President of India for nurturing budding talent in the sport of shooting. And I'm happy that I'm able to give back to the sport that I got so much out of. And that explains the story that Dr. Kanwar said, that I was always helpful. But yes, I'm happy that that translates from him. And he also is now helping a lot of young shooters with whatever they ask him. And he himself has been a 4-time gold
Of
medalist
course.
in the national
We are proud
championship.
of Dr.
So a
Kanwar.
lot of so a lot of youngsters have taken to the sport looking at him and his passion. And a lot of parents of these youngsters have started shooting because they're like, when Dr. Kanwar can, we can as well. And I'm glad that I was able to motivate and be such great friends with Dr. Kanwar over the years.
Of course.
Gagan, you have been great. In fact, you have been always very helpful. In fact, if we are not meeting in person, you were always there on the WhatsApp chat. Just tell us something about that bingo score of 600 out of 600. Was it in Thailand, in Bangkok, I think? Yeah, just tell
Yes,
us about that.
2008, I was in very good form. I had won the World Cup bronze medal in the Olympic shooting test event in Beijing. But in Beijing, I had a big disaster. I shot 595 out of 600,
Oh,
and five other shooters had the same score, and top eight go to the final.
okay.
And unfortunately, I was ninth with the same score as five people above me. And and the difference between a 9.9 and a 10.0 is one hair's breadth.
Yeah.
So it's very narrow. It's probably zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2 millimeters. And I missed going into the final by that, and it was a big shock. My mother was hospitalized. They didn't tell me until I came back to India that she was in the hospital because of stress. And I was, of course, quite demotivated about the whole thing. That when you are training 4 years and you put in the hard work, the sweat, blood, and tears into the sport to prepare for those 2 hours in the Olympics, and it doesn't happen, and then it's not just you who suffers; it's your entire support system
Of course.
that
Of
takes a
course.
hit.
Of course.
And it was a big shock because okay, 2004, 2004 Athens Olympics. I was a kid. I was 21 years old. I was like a kid in a toy store. First time Olympics. It was very nice, and it was a very great experience for me, looking at so many great athletes from
Oh,
different countries. 2008, I was ready, and I was in good form, and of course the Olympic medal was not meant to be. I was very happy that India won its first Olympic gold medal. Abhinav won that. I was watching him shoot the finals, and I came back home. I was very depressed, and I didn't feel like shooting.
mhm.
I would get nightmares. I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about that one shot that I missed, because of which I missed the final. At least a couple of weeks of sleepless nights. I would scared getting sleep because I would dream about it and wake up in the night.
Oh,
So it was a terrible time.
yeah.
But again, my parents were always there by my side. My mind trainer, my coach. Everybody kind of my friends, everybody kind of motivated me to get back to sport as soon as possible. 2 months after uh, the Olympics was the World Cup final, and in the World Cup final, the best 10 to 12 shooters who have won World Cups and who have performed the best come. So it's like the best of the best who come to shoot the World Cup finals. And I shot, uh, I said I'm not going to leave even 1 point to chance.
Mm.
So I shot a perfect score of 600 out of 600,
Wow.
which is world record. And then I went on to win the championship with a final world record of 703.5. So I shot two world records that day, and I felt vindicated for my performance. I couldn't win the Olympic medal, but at least I shot the world record. So yeah, that was a very memorable moment.
That's great. That is how the struggles are in every sport. But yeah, you're kind of just explaining very nicely how we actually go through the trauma, and you have to overcome the trauma. And as I said earlier, that you have to rise after every fall. In this game also, we fail again and again and again. We have to rise. That mental strength, mental toughness takes you much further than others. So that I know you once told me how you shot this 600 out of 600. That was fantastic. How do you advise fitness to your wards, to your students, and what kind of routine do they follow? Because we are very health conscious on this show, and we would like to know, we would like to relate how sports is so much connected with both physical and mental fitness.
So, Doc, a lot of people would talk to you about physical fitness, but something that I would like to talk about on your show and also to the viewers of this channel is about mental
Mm.
fitness. I think it's very, very important. It's a neglected subject. It is the need of the hour, especially in this uncertain corona times. And mental fitness is something that's neglected, and everybody's thinking of making their bodies fit. But what about the mind? It's the mind that controls the body, and vice versa as well at times. But it all starts from the thought.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do physical training, if you want to go to the gym, you have to think about it. So it all starts from the mind. And if you have your mind in sync, I think your body falls in line as well. So mental fitness is something that is neglected. There are so many mental issues that people are having these days,
Hmm.
and which go unnoticed with kids in this generation. I see a lot of stress
Yeah.
at a very young age, which was something that was unheard of in my childhood. Um, Kids are scared of failure,
Yes.
and I think that's where the sport factor comes in because um, play any sport. I think sport teaches you to handle success and failure
Both.
with equal amounts
A-
of grace,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Well
and
said.
that is the key, and that is very important because that is the part that sport can play in our lives because they don't kids these days can't accept failure, and it's very difficult for them to hear or know, but that is a part and parcel of life. I think if everyone says yes, then you're God. You're invincible. You don't need anything.
So
If you're
true.
winning, you don't need anything. If but when it's only when you lose, you try and figure out and look inside yourself and figure out what's wrong with you,
Yes.
what went wrong. You retrospect, you think, and you try and figure out what you can do better to perform in your next competition. And that is what sport teaches you, and that is where the
Yeah.
mental fitness aspect comes into place. So that is a subject that is very important and close to my heart, and that is what I teach the kids. You have to learn to fail if you want to succeed,
Yeah.
and that is very, very important.
So well said, and how
Absolutely.
nicely explained, Dr. Cover. I'm really impressed, and I'm really feeling good that Dr. That the Gaganji is here on our show, and This is going to be a great help for our viewers actually. And failure is stepping stone to success. And playing sport really teaches you so many things. And the importance of sport is being explained so well. Thank you so much, Gagan. It
Yeah,
was really nice and
and
बहुत अच्छा आपने बताया है.
yeah.
I'm really grateful to you.
I
Thank
told
you.
you, Rashmi. I told you, Rashmi. Our first inaugural guest is going to be a fantastic person.
Yes.
And Gagan, I'm so glad you're here with us and share your success stories, your failures, also your struggles, and how you overcame them. How you overcame them. That's more important than anything else. And how you're now involved with helping others through your academy in whatever way. And that is how the sport is growing with people like you. The shooting sport in India has grown leaps and bounds in the last couple of years, and it's hopefully going to look up further. Thank you so much, Gagan. It's been a pleasure having you here. Rashmi, over to you.
Really, I'm really speechless. मतलब, I really don't have words. How should I thank him? What he has told, like it's going to be so much beneficial for our viewers, and so well explained. And from today onwards, I think so. All our viewers will focus more on sports. That this is a key where we can help with the pressure of depression and stress. So this will be great.
Yeah, and yeah, Rashmi, we feel hope that there will be more youngsters who will be taking to serious shooting, target shooting,
Of course.
as competitive shooting as a more than a hobby, and take it seriously. There'll be more and more people into that in India, across India, probably listening on this channel, not only in India, across the world. So this is the beginning of our show, and we in this show will be subsequently bringing in more icons in sporting events, and they could be from any sport, not necessarily shooting or cricket. It could be anything, and we'll probably have their views, their depth of understanding of the game, and their struggles sharing with us. And I think this will go a long way in helping sporting activities and making people mentally and physically fitter than what they are now. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Gagan.
Gaganji. Thank you so much. It was great having you on our show.
Thank
Thank you.
you,
Thank you,
and
Dr.
all the
Kamal.
best. All the
Thanks.
best. Stay safe.
Before we end the show, before we end the show, I would like Gagan to say a few words to our viewers.
Well, I think I've spoken a lot, but I would wish everyone a very healthy life. I think it's very important that we take care of ourselves and we take care of the poor and needy around us because these are uncertain times. And all that we can do is take care of ourselves and take care of people around us as much as we can and survive in this year. Everything else can be thought about in 2021. So, all the best to everyone and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
मैं हूँ रश्मि बेदी. हमें उम्मीद है ये शो आपको पसंद आया होगा. लेटेस्ट वीडियो के लिए देखते रहिए माई ड्रीम टीवी यूएसए और पसंद आने पर लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग माई ड्रीम टीवी यूएसए.